Okay, so this is going to be part 2 of securing Ubuntu. And the first thing we're going to do is set a default minimum password age. To do that, you want to open the terminal. Wait, sorry. We're going to type in sudo gedit // etc /login defs. And then hit enter. I'm going to type in my password. Okay, so now that we have opened the file, we're going to try to search for the line that says pass min. You can just hit Control F, type in pass. Here it is. And we're going to set the minimum number of days to 2. So that way that a password has to be there for a minimum of 2 days and can't constantly be changed. Let's go ahead and hit save. Let me clear this out. And while we're changing password policies, let's go ahead and type gedit admin colon // etc pam .d /common password. Common password. And we're going to edit this file. Type in your password. And we're going to try to find the specific line that contains password requisite. Oh, here it is, password requisite. So retry 3. And then right after this, retry equals 3, we're going to type in a min length, or minimum length equals 10. So our passwords have to be at least 10 characters. And we're going to hit save. Now let's exit out. And now we're going to change the account lockout policy. And the way that we're going to do it is by creating a file in Linux. When you want to create a file in the terminal, you're going to type in sudo, because this is an important file, so we need sudo touch. This means that you are creating a file. And then where you want to create it is root user share pam configs fail lock. Okay, and so what this means is you need admin permission to create this file, and this means I'm creating a file, and this is the location, and this is the name of the file, fail lock. Let's hit enter, and then we are going to type in gedit admin colon // sorry, it's 2 slashes. There we go. And we're going to go to the location where we created that file. Hit enter, enter your password. And now we are going to create an account lockout policy. And this is what we have to type. You have to type in name, colon, enforce, failed login, attempt, counter. Make sure you spell everything right. Default, no. Priority, 0. Authentication type, primary. Authentication, default equals die, sufficient, pam fail lock, so. Okay. Let's hit save to save this file.
And now we're going to create another file. And again, you're going to type in sudo touch /user /share /pam configs. And then you're going to type in failed lock notify. This is our new file. Hit enter.
Then we are going to type underscore notify so we can actually write to our file that we just created. Hit enter. And then you're going to type everything exactly. Name, colon, notify on failed login attempts. Default, colon, no. Priority, colon, no. Authentication type, colon, primary. And then auth, colon, enter and tab, requisite, tab, pam, fail lock, .so, pre, auth. We're going to save the file. And now we're going to apply the configurations we wrote in that file. So we're going to type in sudo pam auth update, hit enter, and then I'm going to select notify on failed login attempts and enforce failed login attempt counter. And you can move around in here with the arrow keys, and then we're going to select OK. But before we do that, you want to make sure that everything you wrote down is exactly as I typed it, and hit enter. Now, keeping up with account lockup policies and passwords, we're going to make sure that null passwords, or it's the same thing as saying empty passwords, do not exist. So this means that a user is forced to have a password. And this is how we solve it. We're going to type in gedit admin colon slash 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 etc slash pam d slash common auth. Enter your password. So here on line 17, we are going to erase this null OK, and we're going to hit save. And this means that empty passwords will not be allowed. Okay, so we're going to enable IPv4 TCP SYN cookies. And what that basically does is it hardens our system so we're resistant to a specific type of denial of service attack. And the specific type of DOS attack is called SYN flood attacks. So the way that we are going to harden our system is type in gedit admin colon slash 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 etc slash sys ctl.conf. Type in your password, and we're going to look for the line that says net.ipv4. Here it is. .tcp underscore sync cookies equals 0. We're going to change that to 1. Hit save. And then another thing we're going to do is prevent IPv4 forwarding. And the reason we want to remove IPv4 forwarding is because it allows this Linux operating system to act as a firewall. But if you don't really need it, it can expose you to different types of vulnerabilities. So since this machine is not going to act as a firewall, we don't need it. Then basically we just look under where we just change our tag. So we're going to look up for net.ipv4.ip underscore forward equal 1. We're going to change this to 0, hit save, and exit out. Next thing that we're going to do is make sure that our firewall is on. And to enable our uncomplicated firewall, we're going to type in sudo ufw enable. And that's all you have to do. Okay, so now we have to make sure that our shadow file doesn't have insecure permissions or settings. And the shadow file in Linux is basically where the user's passwords are stored. And to view the permissions of that shadow file, we're going to type in ls-al capital F, and then the location of our shadow file, which is /etc/shadow. Okay, so with the permissions right here, what they mean is that the owner, so that would be the admin, so me, can read and write it. It means the people that belong in the sudo group can read it, and then everyone can read it. And we don't want that. So basically what we're going to type in is sudo chmod 640. You don't necessarily have to type in 640. And one of the Linux cheat sheets that I gave you guys, I actually gave you guys a list of different commands you're able to do with chmod to change permissions. And then we're going to type in the location of the file, which is root/etc, and then shadow. Hit enter, and then we're going to see if the permissions have changed. And there you go. You can see that other or basically regular users don't have access to that file. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to check out different services. Let's type system ctl list units dash dash type equals service space dash dash state equal active. I know this command is very long, but I also gave you guys this command in the Linux cheat sheet. And we're just going to scroll down and look through different services. And this thing, vsftpd service. And here it says it's running an F2P server. We're going to hit Q to quit, clear this out. And in this computer, there should not be an FTP service running. So we're going to type in sudo systemctl disable. And then this is like a combination of two commands. You can do this separately, but we're going to disable and stop it. Usually disabling stops the service from starting up when you boot up the computer, but with the now, it stops it right now and prevents it from starting up during system boot. And then the service was called vsftp. D. Okay. We're going to hit enter, and that service has been stopped. And the reason we want to do this is because with FTP, you can transfer files either from a different computer to this computer or from this computer to a different computer. We usually just don't want there to be unauthorized transferring of files, so this just secures our system more. Okay, so part of our jobs is to secure the computer and the network that it is on. So managing ports and processes is a step that we can take. And if you guys remember last week's slides, I went over the SS tool, and we're going to use the SS tool now to see what ports are being used and listened on. So to do this, we're going to type in sudo ss tlnp, hit enter. Okay, let me type this in. You guys might have to zoom in, but it's a lot easier to read. Systemd, that's fine. SSHD, secure shell, daemon, that's fine. Now this is something a little bit weird. nc.traditional. The nc, I'm pretty sure stands for netcat. So netcat is the tool that a user can use to scan for ports, listen on ports, transfer files, use remote shell. On this computer, we only want to use a remote shell using SSH. We don't want to be using netcat. And since netcat isn't really needed, it can cause a security issue, so we're just going to go ahead and remove it. Let's go ahead and clear this. Now I can make this bigger now that we don't need to read the ports. And I'm going to type in gedit admin colon slash 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 etc cron tab. And we're going to edit this cron tab file, and the cron tab is basically a task scheduler. Okay, so we're going to look for the line that says nc traditional, and here it is. We are going to remove this line. By removing that line, we ensure that netcat is not going to start up again. Hit save, exit. Next, we're going to type in sudo pkill-f nc for netcat traditional. And traditional is just a different version of NetCat. It's not necessarily the most recommended one. The most recommended one is the OpenBSD one, because I think that has better features and it's newer. So we're going to type in this command to kill the process. We're going to type in which nc.traditional, and then we're going to type in sudo rm for remove slash user slash bin dot nc traditional. Hit enter, and now we have successfully removed netcat and also killed off its process and prevented it from starting up again. And if you guys remember, I said netcat was a way to have a remote access to a computer. In the README file, it says that we do allow for remote access, but we only allow it through SSH. So now we have to secure SSH, and we're going to do that by preventing a root login. So this won't stop admins or people in the sudoers to use SSH. What it basically does is it prevents unlogged access. So if a user were to log in using root access, any changes that they do will not be logged. However, if you force them to log in normally and then use sudo, then any changes that they do will be logged. So if we find out someone is messing up this computer, we know who to blame. And the way that we're going to restrict the root login for SSH is typing gedit admin slash colon slash 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 etc slash sshd config. I'm going to type in my password. I typed in my password wrong, so I'm going to make sure that I typed it incorrectly. Oh, I see. There it is. Okay, so we're going to look for the line that says permit root login. It's line 33. We're going to change this yes to a no. Then we're going to hit save and exit out. Okay, so now we have completed our part 2 of securing our Ubuntu system, and I only covered things that I noticed that students did not do in our competition round, or that I noticed that were new or slightly more difficult.